No. Oh, there should always be two cups. There should always be two cups.
Oh, Transformers. The best toys were at the bottom of the toy box. Grab your nuts and bolts and join us as we discuss the best toys of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I'm Screwhead.
Oh, and I'm Avon Fox. Hey, you used to come up with something on the spot. You got it.
Oh, Lord have mercy. All right. What's going on, man?
Right.
Oh, nice.
Why didn't you? I think you need a cup.
Oh, God, you're going to make boogers come out of my nose, huh?
Booger blasters.
Booger blasters. Tonight we're talking about Kinsman. Kinsman by the company called Da Yang. It's one of those companies that you've owned one of their toys, but you've probably never heard of the company. And definitely Kinsman is one of those transforming toy lines that you've never heard of. But after tonight's show, you're probably going to go out and buy every one of them. So.
Good luck with that. I wish you the best of luck because
they're also extremely rare. That's the nod there. Extremely rare. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Da Yang Toys. Oh my god! I hope I'm saying that right.
No, I think so. I mean, I'm not going to pretend.
I'm not going to try to pronounce that.
For anyone who just wants to look at the toys, just skip in this many minutes. I'll put it here. But brief bit of boring about the company. Da Yang Industrial began in 1976. I don't honestly think they ever made anything. I think they're more so a company that imports toys from other companies, rebrands them as themselves, and then puts them into a toy line and sells them. Then 85, Da Yang Toys started, which seems to be a business name they started for regional sales into the US and so on. Sold a heap of toys in the 90s, including the Kinsman, and a favourite of yours, Screwhead.
Yes. And this is the one that you all probably had, or you all thought at the toy store. Is the I'll put one up here on screen, but the stair-stepping penguin slide. The one where it had the little penguins and it would go boop, 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 and then it would hit the slide, go right back down to the stairs, and boop, boop, boop. Oh yeah, it was a favorite of mine as a child. Da Yang was famous for those. Yep,
they made a lot of that sort of stuff. In 1999, DY Toys appeared, and that license was renewed in 2012. Then they seemed to disappear, and then 2004, Da Yang Industrial came along, and they seem to be owned by a company called, and I apologize for my pronunciation, Meiwa Tongco. They released mostly novelties, and the most common one is that little ball thing with a weasel hanging off the back of it that rolls around and cats chase it, things like that. And the last I've seen of them, is 2022-23 when they imported toys into the US for a company called OK Toys, and then again for Green Trading Co. in the US. So they seem to still be around, but I do think they're probably more so a company that has been bought by someone else who are just using the name.
That makes me wonder, because it was like, everything in the 80s was made in Taiwan. You know what I mean? That was like a running joke. Oh, where's it made? It's made in Taiwan, and now it's China and a couple other countries. But back then it was made in Taiwan. So I wonder if the antithesis of them coming up with the Kinsman line was just they were manufacturing all these other toys in the area, and they were just like, hey, we want a piece of that.
Yeah, well, political. I mean, technically, most of them are still made in Taiwan. They just have to say made in China. Are you moving? You are real. I thought you stopped. You were like so still. And I was like, oh god, he's logged, he's timed out. I thought the CCP had got you. Technically, they're still made in Taiwan. They just have to say on them made in China. There's stuff made in China, but there's awful lot of stuff still made in Taiwan that does.
So they fell down into that, like, so they kind of used the same formula though that Transformers used, right? Where it was kind of, or not Transformers, but Hasbro used, where it was like kind of what's left of the transforming, mode changing robots that are coming out of China or Japan.
They are,
slap them into a toy line.
Yeah, they are just Transformers from another mother. And more so than GoBots, because Transformers was a line originally that was just cobbled together from toys from Takara and Bandai, who got stuff from Takatuku that ended up being Whirl and Roadbuster, and it's a mishmash of toys all put together in one line. It's just that Hasbro ran with it and kept it going, so we still have Transformers. But the only reason we don't have Kinsman is I don't think they ever had any plans to do that. They made a toy line out of what they could scrape together, and that's what it is. It is what it is. Still.
Why do you think they're called Kinsman? It's a terrible name for a Transformer line.
It is a terrible name. I don't know. I mean, it's a terrible band. I would say that. I would say, well, Kinsman means what is it? A male person who is related in some way to another male person or something. So I guess they're like little
they're
robot
the kinsmen to the Transformers.
Well, I think they're the kinsmen to each other. I think they just got a heap of toys and put them together and said, "You are now kinsman because you look the same." I don't know. I don't know if it's an in-joke pun or a bad translation, but it's kind of work.
It's just quite literal. You're all related. Kinsman.
Yeah, because robots. All right.
Well, it sounds like we had Todd in accounting coming up with the name for the toy line. As a throwback. All right, so the Kinsmen were made up of, like, how many different lines kind of made up the base of the Kinsmen toy line?
I'm going to have to look at my notes because they're vague. Oh, there was two main bits we'll talk about later on. The sort of the little Andro, nothing to do with Androform, the Andro line, and then there's the convertible line, which will stick towards the end. And the rest of it was just random toys. So, do we want to talk about the stuff more akin to their usual stuff first?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff was barely a transforming toy. So let's talk about the normal stuff first.
Most like the little penguin thing. You've got this sort of thing.
Yep.
Which is, the cog's turn, pick the little guy up, he goes to the top, he goes sliding, can't tell which way it goes, sliding down the rope, ramp, and around again, then back up, and I'll put up a movie of it doing its thing. And so that sort of thing, big plastic toys. They did things like the Mega Extender. Which I'll yank out of here while I'm talking, which is, again, a big plastic toy that walks along, does stuff.
I actually kind of like those toys, but...
I do too. He walks along and his legs retract and he goes up and down and lots of lights and noise.
Yeah, he transforms from a robot to a squatting robot. I think he might just be like the pooing robot.
Yeah, no, he's a tall boy to a short king.
He's got Kinsman written on his crotch. I never noticed that before.
Yeah, they've all got Kinsman on them somewhere.
Kinsman.
It's the WWE belt of Kinsman. Anyway, so there's that. What else is there? Oh, there's the Robot Riser that which is basically just a car with a robot hidden underneath, and then it rises and rolls forward. I'll put a picture up. There's the fire robot. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, I got to stop you there because I know you're wanting to blow past the Robot Riser. Because I know how much you hate the monopods, the monopod Transformers. I personally love them because they're so bad. but they were that. And there was several other toy lines like that, right? But they had the little remote control, or they had the little motor activated action, and you'd find them at Radio Shack. And they'd drive down the road, and it would be like car to transformer, and you're like, did it though? Did it?
No, what it did was this. Is what it did. The fire robot, which is again same sort of thing, but this one's remote control. It's a Firebird, red, stands up. It has Optimus Prime's gun, like a modified version of G1 Prime's gun, which doesn't fit in the hand, and you can't lift his arm up to actually shoot it because it hits the underside of the thing. Going back to the Robot Riser, on the box, there's clearly a hand-painted prototype on the box.
Mm-hmm.
And which makes me think that Da Yang did get a lot of these toys from companies that, and something else I'll talk about later on, a lot of these companies, they either got them from companies that never released them, and so they got the original version of them, and they, a lot of the pictures on the boxes are prototypes. And like the robot, the fire robot is clearly cobbled together. They just snapped this gun on to give it a gun. It doesn't need one. It can't really hold it. It's just put into a plug in its flat hand, and it can't move. I think they've just cobbled a few things together, stuck it in a box, and called it a toy.
Quality controls was not a problem.
Well, I don't know. Anyway. Robot right. What else do they do? Robot machine. Oh, the clock. The clock.
Oh, all the clocks. All right, that's one of the good ones.
It is, and it's on the back of the boxes. Oh, I'm going to reach down. Oh, my old body. God. Oh, I think it's on the back of the box. Yes. So on the back of the packet, and I'll probably put a picture up if I can be bothered. Maybe not, because it's probably good enough. There's this little guy, and there's this other weird robot about here somewhere. Neither of those... Oh, I can do it. Grippy fingers. Neither of those two seem to have been released. Yes, I've got it in my hand, but it was released by a number of other companies over the years as Clockbot or Watching the Ball. I don't know. It turns into a sphere.
There is a GoBot version of him potentially out there somewhere. Potentially.
Yeah, we'd like to
if you
think
ever see
so.
it, please let us know.
And he doesn't seem to have ever come out via Da Yang, nor does that other little black robot. And I'll put a picture up of it, because if anyone has any information on it, I would love to know what it is, even just what it looks like.
Show up the one box and just show the font on the box. That's one of the best parts about this, is that this 1980s arcade style
computer font
that they use. That's amazing. It's like Marlin meets the eye,
and they made such a big deal out of the model number. Apart from the robot machine, one where they get picked up and moved around. They all have this number. Like that's super important.
Well, they don't really have. None of them really have. I always just assumed that his name was 7095.
It could be, but all of them are called that.
Oh, they're all called.
And so all of the other. It came in various colours. It came in this camo colour, gold, this grey, and I believe another colour. I could be wrong. And they all have the same number. So and they all have this head. The Kinsman head.
The Kinsman head. It is the more than meets the eye head.
It is. And not only is that on the logo on all of them. Not all of them. That's not true. On many of them, it's a really prominent sticker on a whole heap. And I guess we can move on to the next lot, because car versions sticker right there. It's kind of like the Transformers sticker all the rubbies. It was just.
Were there factions in the Kinsman? Was there any story or background or anything to the Kinsman?
Released and unreleased. No.
Nope.
The new race of robots, fresh off the Kinsman conveyor. Assume it's this. Kinsman conveyor, each one designed with its own power and skills. Collect the entire series. Or
Oh,
else,
so the conveyor made all the. He's like their god, right? It's the
if you like.
yeah. We're gonna go there, and he rolls all the Kinsmen off, and they don't really have
This is
bad guys. They just transform, and they're like Care Bears. They're just kind of
yeah,
merrily running around,
they're the
transforming
There
into
Bears.
cars.
And this is on the back is this is another prototype. It says Robot Race, whereas this one says Kinsman Conveyor, which is I guess that makes sense. It's good. But this here is different in the actual box as well. It's not the Kinsman Conveyor. So obviously they had this broad storyline of 83 words, and then decided, nope, we're just gonna forget that. We'll put it on the box. When you actually get the damn thing, it says, "Oh, no, it does say conveyor." I'm an idiot. So look,
Yeah.
yeah, that was wrong. See, I just talk sometimes and stuff comes out. There he
Yep.
is.
For
Beep to the MF boop.
for our 67 subscribers, I truly enjoy anytime I hear Avon make this noise where he goes because I know I've gotten too far off the topic and he's uncomfortable.
No, I realise I've gone too far to the topic.
That's usually what it is.
If
The race car or the transformer conveyor belt, that's I think the one that lived and got the most US presence, probably most everywhere. Because that one's extremely easy to come by. Like you can get that conveyor belt like all over the place. Relatively easy. But all of the rest of these are extremely difficult to come by in the US. I mean, very hard to come by.
they're fragile as well. I mean, not fragile, but the sort of things kids will play with and they will break.
So after the main first series, the cobbled together, we'll call them the Cobblebots, right? The cobbled together ones. What was round 2 for the Noble Kinsman?
Yeah, well, I mean, they'll probably released at the same time, I think, but and to break it up into things that aren't traditionally Kinsman sort of stuff like the Penguins, they did a series called, we've talked about, called the Andro line, which is little bots like this. There's the Andro, oh, my brain, Andro Jet, Andro Bike,
Plane.
and Andro Tank. Plane, yeah. Thank you. That's why I couldn't get the right word. Thank you. And they have a little pullback, a friction motor that goes along. You rev them up, and then depending where you have their head, they have a different gear they flick into, and they go down into a little plane and go along. And the idea is that you do battle with them. They battle into each other when they go along. The reason for that is because they were designed by Bandai, sold as Poker Robot, pre-Pokemon, Pocket Robot. And they did exactly the same thing. You rev them up and you battle them into each other. There's a few different ones. And interestingly, this is one of the few that still has the Bandai branding. The next bit is the larger toys. Now, this one hasn't got any wheels because I haven't got an example in front of me. But they released a handful of G1 Transformer toys, which are about yay big. His little face pops out so you can see where he's going. That are actually not too bad. I mean, they are a bit like tracks, I guess, from G1. They did a Jeep, they did a pickup, and a convertible coupe, which is the one in my hand now, in a series of colours. Whose foot don't want to come out? Oh, there we go. And they're actually not too bad. They have pullback motors as a gimmick in the front of the car. And I don't know, they're just a bit fragile. So I imagine they didn't last.
So these Transformers, and I Avon's, he's hitting the point a little bit, but these figures are phenomenal. I love these figures. They stand up right next to Transformers. You could put that right next to a Sideswipe or right next to a Smokescreen, and you wouldn't be able, you wouldn't realize it was not a Transformer. They are just out of all the toys that they put out with the Kinsman, I think these are the ones that get the most love from collectors because they are just, they're phenomenal. Of course, all the heads are just like ripped off of some sort of straight rip off of a Transformers figure.
Pretty much. They're not. I don't think they're copies. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're pretty close. I mean, Whatever.
they're pretty close. They're like, okay, let's take so and so's head and kind of etch a little line on him, and then oh look, we've got convertible coupe robot. But
They
they came in all different colors, right? There was like green, yellow, red for the Jeeps.
depending on the figure, yeah, blue obviously, white. This one came in white as well,
right.
And in the front here is the pullback motor, the sort of spin up motor. So
and the pickup came in like a neon green and a
yellow, green, and red. I think.
Yeah, I think it was red too. So
yeah. No, the only thing that sucks about them, I think, is one, lack of diecast. I'm a sucker for diecast. They're just made of a plastic that's just a little bit cheaper than what Takara used. And so I think that they just didn't last. You find them in box, great. If not, you'll find them in pieces.
That's true. And they're always missing their weapons. They had those nice kind of like chrome weapons that were famous in the 80s. And they're always missing the weapons.
Yep. I've still never had a weapon for the pickup, I think it is. We've never found a pickup's weapon. No, the coupe's weapon. We've never had one of his. And I know they're out there. I've just never come across one.
I like how you keep calling it a coupe.
What is it? It's a coupe.
It's a coupe.
All right. Whatever. What's a coupe then?
Look at my coupe.
It's a coupe.
I'm sure it is a coupe. I'm sure in Australia it's a coupe, but we call it a coupe.
Drop it. Rolling into... you're just mentally going, yeah, I'm going to use that burp later. I'm just going to cut it out. I can see it.